It's been said that the charisms, gifts, and qualities that a saint had or exhibited can usually be found in the parish for which that saint was a patron. And so, as Father mentioned, we have a great blessing this weekend because the feast of St. James the Greater, which is on July 25th, is also the feast of the anniversary of the dedication of the parish. And so one of those feasts is moved, and so we celebrate the feast of St. James this Sunday. And we need to understand that the gifts that St. James the Greater had didn't end when he was martyred in 44 AD, but God's plan is to have those gifts to be used just like he sowed his blood for the building of the faith so that the faith can grow. Those same gifts will be used to build up his kingdom here in this parish. There's many that we can reflect on, but in praying with the scriptures, the psalm that we sung provides one way that the gifts of our patron saint continue to live on. It was sung beautifully where we sang, "Those who sow in tears will reap rejoicing." Meaning what? It means don't stuff your tears, your sorrows, your crosses, and then don't dump them and waste them, but rather sow them, plant them, invest them, and you will be guaranteed to produce a return of tremendous joy, either in this life or like our patron who sowed his blood for the faith, reaped eternal joy through his martyrdom. So what does that practically look like? As my family and I close with heavy hearts 17 years of being part of this amazing, amazing parish, there are many examples of that psalm being lived out, but I want to share 3 recent ones that come to mind. The first one involves a lady, let's call her Jane. Jane came out of Mass with tears streaming down her face, asking if she could talk to someone because of something that a priest had said to her in the confessional. So we sat down, and she said she had been told that she was participating in intrinsic evil because she was married and was using birth control. She proceeded to share some pretty traumatic experiences in her life that caused a deep fear for her to ever get pregnant. And even her doctors had counseled her against getting pregnant and stopping using these artificial methods of birth control. So I tried to be as compassionate as I could because it is a very difficult situation, but also reiterated that the priest was not wrong and had shared what the church has continually taught. And it's not the church saying, no, don't do that, and don't do that, and don't do that. The church says no because she's inviting us to say yes, a greater yes that will actually lead to the freedom that we desire if we follow God's will. And so I would share with her, and I encourage her to read Humane Vitae. Humane Vitae is a document that was written actually on the feast of St. James the Greater 55 years ago that laid out the catastrophes that will come about if our society went along the path of choosing birth control. So Jane had a choice. She could either stuff her tears and say, how dare he? The church is so out of touch. I'm never coming back. Or she could choose to dump and waste her tears and complain to anyone willing to listen. Woe is me. But Jane, she chose a third biblical path. She chose to sow her tears, which she did. She went and talked to her husband. They wanted to do things right. They stopped taking those medications. She went through RCIA. Their marriage was validated in the church, and I wish you could see her at this very moment. She is radiating joy. She is the healthiest she's ever looked. Her faith is so strong. Her prayer life is full of zeal. She's out there volunteering and growing daily in her faith. All because she chose to sow her tears and is reaping the joy that comes from doing that. The second gentleman, we'll call him Tony. Tony had been away from the church. He had been married outside the church, but was constantly feeling this tug to come back. He had been blessed with 2 children, and at the spurring of his grandmother and that tug, he knew that he needed to have them baptized. So we had a special baptism class, and as we were talking, it came out that he wasn't married within the church. And so there was an invitation to start to take the steps to validate their marriage. But not only that, there was a challenge that was laid out for them. Until they were married in the church, they were invited to take and to choose to live no longer as husband and wife, but to live as brother and sister. Many within the church would say, that is too harsh. And Tony and his wife, they had a choice to make. They could stuff their tears and say, how dare he? The church is out of touch. We are never coming back. Or they could choose to dump their tears, to waste them, to complain to anyone willing to listen, to say, woe is us. But they chose a third biblical path. They chose to sow their tears, and it tremendously warms my heart to see this beautiful family. The mom bought different Catholic prayer books so that she could learn the faith along with her children going through CCD. They hunger to learn more. They've signed up for Bible classes, and they're sad that they're ending because they want more. They want more of the truth. They want more of what can truly satisfy. They're out almost every weekend, knocking on strangers' doors, sharing the difference that a relationship with Jesus Christ makes with those who may have fallen away, all because they chose to sacrifice and lay down their lives. They chose to sow their tears. The final story happened a couple weeks ago. As Deacon Dave shared, we went to Webster County for the 20th time to do mission work. And over the years, through the creativity and drive of Deacon Dave, we joke a lot of times, it's really strange. Sometimes people confuse the two of us. They'll come up and say Deacon James, but they really want to talk to Deacon Dave, and vice versa. We get emails that belong to each other. And I guess I can kind of see, we both have glasses, we both have beards. I'm a little more tan than him. But the way I say you can tell us apart is he is the older, slower, but wiser deacon. Even Father Grassi himself confuses the two of us. There was a collage that was made to celebrate this 20-year anniversary, thanking Deacon Dave. I'm pretty sure there was a picture of Deacon Dave, and so when you look at this collage, you see, thank you, Deacon Dave, thank you, Deacon Dave. And then Father Grassi says, thank you, Deacon James. I think Father needs a new eye doctor, maybe. But I digress. So we go on this trip, and through the wisdom and vision over the years, Deacon Dave has worked to ensure that at every job site, there'll be an opportunity for priests to come to hear confessions, so that there's no excuse to not only work on homes, but to work on our souls. And so there was a young man who, I think he had tried to stuff the sorrow that comes from sins, to ignore the tug of his conscience and to stuff those sorrows, and had tried to waste them away, thinking it doesn't matter, the sorrow that comes when we choose sin. But that young man shared so beautifully at the end of the week. He said, the one reason that I came is because I knew I could not avoid anymore going to confession if I came to Webster Springs. And so I went to confession. I sowed the sorrow that I had for my sins, and I believe he's truly striving to reap what comes when we follow God's ways. There'll be many seasons in our lives when things are going pretty well. But what I think our patron, St. James the Greater, through the witness of his life, when those moments come, when the crosses, the tears, the sorrows, don't dump them and waste them. Don't stuff them and keep them in. Dig into the well of our faith in Jesus Christ, our Catholic faith, and sow those tears. Invest them, plant them, so that they can reap a bountiful harvest. Finally, to the parish of St. James the Greater, on behalf of my wife and my family, we thank you deeply for the love, generosity, kindness, welcoming that you have shown to me and my family, and the incredible witness and zeal for faith that exists in this amazing parish. The faith that our patron, St. James the Greater, one of the sons of thunder, he displayed in living it out. You've given us an incredible souvenir of the heart that we will always cherish. St. James the Greater, pray for us.